Jai Xuanyu reached the 50th floor where the boss with an octopus shape appeared. It prepared to attack, but just at that moment, Jai Xuanyu jumped and used the burning arrow technique, launching a powerful arrow towards the monster which struck it right on its forehead. A system window appeared, congratulating her for completing the floor in 3 minutes and 7 seconds, successfully breaking the floor's record. Jai Xuanyu was somewhat tired. She began wiping her chin with her hand as she looked at the system window. With a gaze full of exhaustion, she felt relieved since she had finally reclaimed first place in the rankings. Zhang had taken 1 minute longer than her to complete this floor, so she firmly believed that no matter what he did, he wouldn't be able to surpass her. At the same time, Zhang also reached the 50th floor again and the octopus-shaped boss reappeared. Little Nine started flying near the monster, began touching its tentacle with her finger, and couldn't help but start smiling. For her this was very fun since this little creature had many legs. Zhang was somewhat confused and got angry, asking her to stop playing and finish eating quickly, so that he could give her a little brother. Upon hearing this, Little Nine's eyes filled with tears. She didn't want to be the second daughter, asking Jiang if having just her wasn't enough for him. Zhang got angry, asking where she had learned all of this. He calmed her down by explaining that even if a second child was born, she would still be the eldest. If she didn't get along with her brother, then she could give him a good beating, asking her to think it over since she was born first and was stronger, plus having the help of thousands of insects. Little Nine calmed down and her eyes filled with joy. She started touching her cheek with her finger, and couldn't help but smile at the thought that a second child would be born, so that she could bully and pinch him. She got excited and without wasting a second, gave the boss a strong bite, devouring most of its body. And while the poisonous mist slowly consumed the boss's body, a system window appeared informing that she had leveled up from level 35 to level 37. At the same time, in the main hall of the Celestial Tower, there was a screen that began to show that Jai Xuanyu had completed the 50th floor in a record time of 3 minutes and 7 seconds. In the room, there was a blonde man named Huai Unfei, Jai Xuanyu's lapdog. He placed one hand on his chest, extended the other upward, closed his eyes and couldn't help but start smiling as he thought Zhang Chen had lost. He mentioned that now first place belonged to the goddess of the city and told those flies from Zhang's battle district to return to their stinking city. Behind him were Mu Henkui and Luo Sando. Both crossed their arms and couldn't help but get angry. They asked this bastard to shut up since Zhang Chen was only completing missions on his own terms, revealing that he didn't see this as a competition. He was just playing without even trying his hardest. But then, something unexpected happened. The record of the Celestial Tower was updated and revealed that Zhang had completed the 50th floor in a time of 2 minutes and 58 seconds, leaving poor Huai Unfei in shock. He didn't know how this was possible, while on the other hand, Luo Sando and Mu Henkui raised their fists in excitement and couldn't help but feel happy, explaining that this result wasn't even Zhang's limit and crushing Jai Xuanyu had been a piece of cake. Upon seeing the record, Jai Xuanyu's gaze filled with fear and despair. She collapsed to the ground. She was stunned as she didn't know how Zhang had surpassed her once again. Despair took control of her mind. She pulled out a red pill, began to bring it closer to her mouth, and with a tired yet determined gaze, she decided to try again. But just before she could take the pill, the record updated several times, revealing that Zhang had completed the 50th floor in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Upon seeing this, Jai Xuanyu's eyes filled with terror. She was shocked as she didn't know how this was possible. Desperation grew. She fell to her knees on the ground, opened her mouth and began to cry like a little girl. A crowd formed around her, everyone somewhat confused by the goddess's behavior. But just then, her father, surrounded by a golden energy, landed from the sky near his daughter, leaving everyone stunned and speechless. The father was furious. With a gaze full of rage, he began asking who had made his little princess cry. Someone in the crowd mentioned that the one responsible was Zhang Cheng, while Jai Xuanyu lay on the ground crying. Her father stood up, clenched his fist tightly, and with a vengeful expression told his daughter not to worry because once Jiang Chen came out, he would teach him a good lesson. The father's gaze fixed on the screen, and his expression filled with curiosity. He didn't know if it was necessary to keep climbing in rank to complete the second job transfer mission. At first, he thought Zhang had discovered the secret mission of the Celestial Tower and had come for Jie's treasure. But them dismissed this idea since Emperor Jie's divine treasure consisted of 12 map pieces, each divided into several fragments, making obtaining them an impossible task. The Jie family had been trying for many years and only possessed 4 pieces of the treasure map. Therefore, it was impossible for Zhang to have obtained all of them in such a short time. At the same time, inside the Celestial Tower, Zhang managed to gather the 12 treasure map fragments, took them out, and the system began synthesizing all of the pieces. While the system was synthesizing all of the fragments, Zhang placed his hand under his chin and started observing it. To complete this treasure map, people with obsessive-compulsive disorder had no choice but to repeat the Celestial Tower several times. However, it turned out that in order to gather them all, hidden missions needed to be completed. Depending on who changed class at what level, a time limit was set for completion. The system finally synthesized the treasure map, causing it to start glowing. Zhang began examining it as his eyes filled with surprise. Several system windows appeared. This treasure map was of mythical category. It was said that the Jai tribe, a powerful group from ancient times, had later split off to form humanity and called themselves the Jie tribe. At their peak, they ranked number 53 among 10,000 races. This map was one of the 12 in existence and contained the divine weapon of the Jie Emperor. Upon activating the map, Zhang would obtain the secret location with no limit on people level or time. However, that wasn't all. This place was extremely dangerous. Zhang activated the map and obtained the golden sword of the Emperor. He began to gaze at its blade since this type of divine weapon was truly convenient. However, this map repeatedly emphasized danger, so for now it was better not to venture recklessly. Now that he had acquired the necessary materials for his second transformation, he decided to first complete it. Upon doing so, the system detected that all conditions had been met and began his class change. Zhang was teleported to his subconscious where the ancestral tree was. While Zhang was absorbed in contemplating the tree, the system notified him that the class change had been successful. Zhang's current state was of second transformation, gaining 100 free attribute points, and additionally, the ancestral tree of all things had also improved, increasing the type of fruit obtained, now called Fruit of Destiny. Zhang began to observe the tree, and upon seeing that the system had upgraded it, and that it could now grant him the Fruit of Destiny, his mind filled with many questions. But for now he decided to summon the second insect mother first. A crack appeared in front of him and the system informed him that because he had completed his second transformation, he could obtain a random insect mother. From the crack, a powerful red Calamity level beetle emerged. While its body was surrounded by a powerful red energy, it began to fly. This creature existed in hell and dwelled within the souls of gods and demons, absorbing their energy of resentment, indomitability, and unbreakable memory, nourishing itself. It had been missing for countless eras along with the annihilation of eternal hell. Zhang extended his hand toward the beetle and it started flying towards his hand. Our boy was astonished. The beetle had 2 characteristics. For every 10 levels that the mother rose, it could generate offspring ranging from 49 to 108. And each time the mother evolved, the host could extract an ability which would evolve every 30 levels. The small but powerful red beetle sat on Zhang's finger. He brought his finger closer to his face and with a curious look began examining it closely, realizing that it seemed to be at little Nine's level but in terms of size much smaller. Its appearance was more abstract and didn't seem as close to insects as little Nine did. Zhang raised his hand towards the ancestral tree and used divine evolution, causing the beetle's body to start glowing. Not long after, the beetle transformed. He now wore a powerful armor, had a horn on his head and strong wings. The red beetle closed his eyes, crossed his arms and addressed Zhang as father. Zhang, who was in front, was somewhat astonished and thought that he was much calmer and more mature than little Nine. He decided to call him Zeogia. He didn't expect that this time the evolution of the mother insect would turn out to be male. But then he thought it made sense since asexual reproduction itself had no gender, and the evolved form was random. Zeogia opened his eyes and his gaze fixed on Zhang. His status window appeared. He was a plague-type insect with 0 offspring, an affinity of 100 and a bunch of abilities. Among them was one called Infernal Furnace, which allowed Zeogia to condense and refine vital essence, the energy of heaven and earth, and the power of the sun, moon, and stars into a source of life. Seeing this brought a smile to Zhang's face because Zeogia had quite a few abilities. The skill Infernal Furnace was terrifying. If Zhang could obtain it, then in the future, just by eating he would become invincible. With a calm expression, Zeogia explained to his father that he only needed to help him complete the first life leap, and it wasn't necessary to reach level 30 to activate the first skill extraction. He added that the first life leap required sacrificing 10 drops of divine and demonic essential blood. Zhang was somewhat surprised to see that Zeogia had just been born and already had such a big appetite, wanting to consume gods and demons. Our boy asked him to go visit his sister in the nest first, and as for the matter of divine and demonic essential blood he was asking for, he would ask the master once he came out. Zeogia closed his eyes, bowed his head before him, and responded with a yes. At the same time, news about Jiaxuan Yu's father spread everywhere. General Dawn, who was browsing online at that moment, saw the news and couldn't help but panic and start sweating as he revealed to Gu Kaishan that he had just seen a broadcast where Jiaxuan Yu was crying. Gu Kaishan, who was sitting behind and enjoying a cup of tea, remained calm and asked if it was necessary to make such a fuss over a second transformation mission. Duan replied that although the king was indifferent and didn't care about anything, when it came to his daughter he could go crazy. He summoned a portal and started running. Seeing this, Gu Kaishan threw down his cup of tea and began to follow him, realizing that this wasn't good. Zhang returned to the main hall of the Celestial Tower, and upon seeing him, everyone was impressed and excited because a good show was about to take place. The king began rolling up his sleeves, staring at him with a furious expression, and decided to give him a good punishment. Jiaxuan Yu, who was sitting next to him, panicked and begged her father to stop, but he refused, saying that he knew what he was doing. Jiang started walking, and it didn't take long for him to realize that these guys were staring at him intently. But just before Jiang could take another step, the generals appeared and grabbed him by the arms. Seeing this, Jiang's mind filled with confusion. He didn't know what Commander Duan and the Master were doing, but they advised him to run as they would explain it on the way. But just then, the father leaped forward, extended his hand toward Zhang, and invoked a powerful golden energy. He ordered Duan Xinhai to stop, mentioning that Zhang had made his daughter cry. As punishment, he commanded them to cede territory from Jiangnan. He decided that the 3 great dungeons in Celestial Dragon Canyon would be assigned to Ma Du. Zhang and the others went on high alert upon seeing the attack. At that moment, a nice block appeared, blocking it. Duan mentioned that he wasn't going to give up anything since Jiang Nan had risen up, and this year in the overall ranking of celestial geniuses, the people of Ma Du would have to cede territory to Jiang Nan. The father landed on the ground and couldn't help but get angry, his gaze filled with rage upon seeing that they had fled. But he swore to go to Jiangnan to deal with them, and even if they knelt down and begged for forgiveness, it wouldn't be enough. He thought the best thing would be to make Zhang marry his daughter, so that they could humiliate him day and night. Upon hearing this, the daughter who was standing behind couldn't help but start blushing, and with a confused expression asked her father why he was saying such nonsense. A crowd gathered around them, and the father thought that as long as his daughter could be happy, she could do whatever she wanted. The daughter fell to the ground, got nervous, and after thinking it over carefully decided it was better to return home and leave Jing Chen's name here so she could constantly motivate herself in preparation for the competition of prodigies. Zhang, Gu Kaishan, and Duan escaped, but at that moment something left them somewhat confused. It was the father and daughter, still somewhat furious. The father asked what they were doing at his house. Gu Kaishan closed his eyes, brought a fist up to his mouth, coughed lightly, then mentioned that they had something to ask of him. Zhang was somewhat disappointed because, for Zhao Jia, he had to lower himself to ask for favors, seeing that the Celestial Sword King wanted to request something. With a calm expression, the father gave permission. He was willing to help in any way. He could joke with Duan but still had to show respect to the Celestial Sword King. Go Kaishin closed his eyes and revealed that Jiang was his disciple who needed material for his profession change mission. 10 drops of divine and demonic essential blood, which only the Jia family possessed. Duan began to raise a finger, and with a forced smile explained that the conflict had nothing to do with this, as Zhang Chen only needed it for his profession change. And if there was no other option, as compensation they were willing to exchange the celestial dragon cannon with the king. He placed his hand on his daughter's shoulder, and asked what the celestial dragon cannon was, explaining that it could not be exchanged for a drop of divine and demonic essential blood. He was willing to accept, but under one condition: Zhang must marry his daughter. Upon hearing this, the daughter was somewhat surprised and couldn't help but blush. With a confident expression, her father asked her to think carefully, since she would be more motivated by having Zhang on her side, and seeing him every day would give her infinite energy to improve herself, become stronger, and protect the city. She turned as red as a tomato, and with an expression full of embarrassment, she asked what he was saying and also mentioned that she felt something wasn't right. Duan put one foot on the table, started pointing at them with his finger, and got angry, deciding to tell these conditions to Mu Henian and Tang Wangchuan to make them join forces against him. Zhang, who was sitting down, began to sweat. He didn't know what was this. Is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,